My name is Jim Salvi, and I'm the chair of the Board of Selectmen and of the Pompo Building Committee. And it is my great honor to welcome you all today to the dedication ceremony for the Pompo Community Center and Fire Station. And really, it's a rededication of sorts. This building has already done great duty as an elementary school, and now we're asking it to do even more service in new and exciting ways. I was even thinking today that in a lot of ways it's going to serve the same people in new and exciting ways. In not too long from now, there will be people who were here in the second and third grade who will be coming in for their senior services. And that is a very exciting prospect. This is a big day, and this is an important day. And this day was long in coming, and there were a lot of bumps along the road. But in the end, we all pulled together, and we got it done. Give yourselves a round of applause. The road to today actually started a little bit more than 5 years ago, when it was perceived that there was a need for new facilities for the Council on Aging, for the fire station, and for the library. And 3 separate building committees were formed, 3 separate projects were conceived of, and 3 projects went down to defeat, either at the polls or at town meeting. And that's a lesson in everyone in how, when you pull together, you can be more effective. After that happened, the community center project and the fire station project had come pretty close to passing. So an effort was made to see if we could put them over the top, and an oversight committee was formed, chaired by our town administrator, Bill Wrigley. And that committee tried to see if we could make some compromises, if we could share some spaces, if we could find some efficiencies. And it was in that context that this idea was born. The idea of using an old elementary school for your fire station, your council on aging, your recreation department offices, and your community center. In 2014, town meeting approved design funds, and in 2015, town meeting approved construction funds. And since 2014, I've had the pleasure of chairing the building committee for this building and serving with some excellent individuals. And I'd like to recognize them first and extend to them my personal thanks for a job well done and for some really fun meetings and a good time, a good way to spend an evening every once in a while. I serve first of all with my fellow selectman Tom Ryan and former selectman Charlie Kern, who is with us today. Rich Eckel from the Finance Committee. Dave Arsenal from the Capital Planning Committee. Fire Chief Joe Landry. Joe, stand up. Let him see how handsome you look today. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Steve Duncan, representing the Food Pantry and Council on Aging, and well-known man about town in the back over there. A host of associate members representing different constituencies and important points of view. At-large members Bruce Fletcher and Paul McLaughlin, 2 of my favorites who brought to our committee the voice of keeping it reasonably priced, and that was a voice that I'd like to think we paid attention to. Bruce, Paul. From the Council on Aging, Jim Sauda, Director Allison Toole, Kristen Donovan, who really got the ball rolling on this whole thing for the COA, and Bill Byron. And from the Rec Department, Laura Greenow, their director, and Mike Bush. I also want to say thank you to Ed Steinfeld and Peter McManus, 2 people who served on the Oversight Committee but weren't on the Building Committee. Peter, you're over there. And Ed, unfortunately, moved to Michigan. These people, working with our project team of Kathy Kang, And I have to tell you, one of the first decisions we made was hiring Kafi, and it was the best decision we made. And Craig Martin, our building inspector and the project manager, you'll be hearing from Craig later on, but I have to tell you what an outstanding job he did on this thing. Please give him a round of applause. Everyone working together brought this project in at $1 million under budget on its original scope, even with the new roof, $600,000 under budget. And most importantly, it is going to meet some very real needs that this town has had for a while. So, without any further ado, let's kick off our program. And let me turn it over to our State Representative Kate Hogan and State Senator Jamie Eldridge.
Here we go, Jamie. Good afternoon, everyone. This really is a tremendous accomplishment. I am so proud of the Town of Stow and all of the members of all of the committees over all the years that got this done. Truly, Stow is about community and just that little bit of Yankee that says, let's get this done. Congratulations, everyone. It's a great accomplishment. And we have here with us citations from both the House of Representatives and the Senate. And I would like to offer this citation to the Pompositticut Community Center in recognition of the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony. From the entire membership, we extend our warmest wishes, and it is signed by both Jamie Eldridge and very humbly by your state representative. And I just want to say that having worked with everyone, in particular, Bill Wrigley and all of the folks that were willing to sit down and take this up again and again until we got it right, I think we can all take a lesson and a page and know that when there are needs to be met in this community, they will be, and we just need to get it right, and there is nothing wrong with that. So again, congratulations, and who am I presenting this to? Bill Byron, come on up.
And I have the honor of presenting the similar joint citation to Chief Landry on the celebration of the opening of the fire station here. Before I do that, I just want to say it really is a special day for the people of Stow, and I know, and I've talked to Jim about it and Bill Wrigley and, of course, Rep. Hogan's comments. I know how hard people worked on this for the past 5 years. For some reason, it seems to be hard for a lot of communities to build new fire stations and community centers. I've seen many of my towns go through many cycles to get it done. So I'm just so impressed that those two institutions came together. And I think really the idea of a community center, not just focused on seniors, but the whole community and involving Council on Aging, the food pantry, Veterans Agent, and Recreational Center all together in a community center is really impressive and very innovative. So I want to congratulate everyone on these two institutions coming together. And I have a citation to present to Chief Landry from Representative Hogan and myself. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives and State Senate offers its sincerest congratulations to the Town of Stow Fire Station in recognition of your grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony. And again, this is from Representative Hogan and myself. So Chief, congratulations. Best wishes to you and your whole team.
I just wanted to say a quick couple words. Jim pretty much summed everything up earlier, but on my end of it, I'd really like to thank the administration of the town, Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Craig Martin, everybody that's been involved on the end that I've been pretty much a nuisance from the beginning and keep pushing and asking and pushing and begging. And it's funny, I'm not going to mess with the computer because I'll screw the whole thing up, but I have a memo on here. It was funny, we mentioned 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. In 2002, I have a memo from Dave Soar requesting consideration for use of the Pompo School as a fire station. It was a request that was sent out. I just found this memo when I was emptying my office out to move it over here, and I actually scanned it, so eventually I'll put it up on the screen here. But it just shows that the thoughts are there, and it was done properly. It wasn't done just on a whim. There was a lot of thought put into it. As Jim mentioned, Kafie was outstanding right from the beginning. We gave her some numbers and areas, and she laid it out, and it was beautiful. So thank you to the administration, but also their support is what helps us bring it out to the town, and that's what reinforces that this was a good project because everybody's behind it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe, and Representative Senator and Bill, and congratulations to you. I want to invite up here two of my fellow selectmen, one former selectman, Charlie Kern and Tom Ryan, to make a few remarks. I just want to note that I think Stowe is blessed, and I think I'm personally blessed, with a Board of Selectmen. We are unusually collegial. Spend a little bit of time watching Board of Selectmen meetings in other towns. It's like a small war, but it's nothing like in our town. I think that makes us more effective. I consider these two gentlemen friends. Charlie, unfortunately, several months ago moved to Illinois. We're fortunate to have him back here today. I have said in other contexts, but I will say here today, Charlie, I miss you. I miss you on the board. I miss you around town. So come on up. I miss you too, Tom. I see you too.
Yeah. I'm Tom Ryan. I'm one of the members of the Board of Selectmen, and Jim has gone over an awful lot of the detail, mentioned an awful lot of the names. One of the things I'd like to do, though, also is that, as you all heard, this started over 5 years ago. And from the fire side, I've been on that right from the beginning. We had a different fire chief at the time. During this whole period, a few years into it, we hired a new fire chief and all of that. But there were a couple people at the beginning that ended up working from the fire standpoint of laying out an awful lot of the information and laying a lot of the groundwork for what was needed. So I'd like to kind of recognize them. The original committee was Chief Mike McLaughlin at the time, Ross Perry, he seems to keep popping up all over the place, but Ross was involved in that. Chris Sarno from the FinCom. In addition to that, Captain J.P. Benoit ended up putting in some time on that committee, as well as Captain Rick Conley. We also had another member that wasn't involved with any of the town departments, Roger Tuttle. I ended up actually coming across the first meeting minutes, or minutes from our first meeting. And we were so hot to trot to do it. We had our first meeting and we were sworn in for the original fire department building committee on December 28th, 2011. That's after we decided to, go forward with this type of thing. It's been a long road from there, but I agree we have a great product, and we've also had some rather interesting, times going through there. One of the things that sticks in my mind is there aren't too many towns where the fire chief will jackhammer part of the floor and dig a hole to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So we've had an awful lot of input from the highway department, from the fire department, from many, many people around town, and we got the job done. So thank you, voters of Stowe, as well as all the people that worked hard here, including Mr. Wrigley, who kept us all together. Sometimes it's like herding cats. Chief Landry, who spent a lot of time making sure that the fire side of things was going correctly. And really special thanks to Craig Martin, our project manager. The last 6 months or a year of the project, really, Craig has taken it, he led it, and worked with different town staff to make sure we got the product that we did. So really, thank you, Craig. You know, you were really the lead on this, and you deserve a lot of credit. So.
I'd like to echo some of the things that have already been said today. I want to thank Kathy Kang, our architect. She's been a pleasure to work with, and when you see the building, you'll be very pleased with the outcome of the building. I also want to repeat the praise for our project manager, Craig Martin. If you've been involved in town government, you see how much Craig has done for the town. He doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. He's, as project manager, he's worked with the architect and the builder, resolved hundreds and thousands of problems, and he's done it all with professionalism and good cheer, and Craig doesn't get enough credit, and I'd like to thank Craig today. And I'd also like to thank a group of people that never gets thanked enough, and that's the taxpayers of the town of Stow. Y'all endorsed a project that might seem odd to some, putting the community center and the Council of Aging and the fire station all together. But I want to thank you for accepting an idea that seems a little odd at first, and I'm very pleased with the way it came out, and I think you all will be too. And you know, it's the people who voted for it at town meeting who made it possible, and I'd like to thank the taxpayers.
Thank you, Tom and Charlie. And now I think we'd like to hear from our project manager, Craig Martin. I just want to echo everything that Tom and Charlie just said. He has been a pleasure to work with throughout this project. Charlie was absolutely right about his good demeanor, his grace, and professionalism. Though keep in mind, Charlie wasn't here for the last 6 months. He was getting a little cranky toward the end, but that's all right.
Thank you, Jim. Several years ago, when the selectman came to me and said, "Would you like to take on the effort of being the project manager for this project?" Since they appoint me every year, I had to absolutely say yes, that I would take the job. So that was the start of it. All the accolades for the participation by everyone in the community have been outlined by others. I did want to pick up on Kazuko Construction. Richard Kazuko is here from Kazuko Construction, Tony Pereira, Dan Belcourt, and Randy Hopkins, and I would like to acknowledge them. I know they're here in the room. They did an awesome job on this project, and we're dedicated to that. So a round of applause for them, please. We didn't always agree on everything, but we got the job done. So. Very quickly, I think most everybody knows the history of this building, built in 1971 as an open classroom school. We took it over in 2012, and there was 2 boilers out of 8 that were running, and the building looked good, but really looked very tired. So it was an opportunity for us to bring it back to its original life. And I think if you look around, even around the exterior of the building, you'll say, boy, this looks like a brand new building. So, again, we moved ahead with Kafi Kang, which was an absolutely correct decision right from the beginning. And again, thank you, Kafi, for your efforts. So to get the construction, we went through the 4 winters where we had heavy snow in 2015, and I was shoveling, and several others were shoveling snow off the roof to make sure that we didn't have a collapse on the building, but the building held up fine. So we knew we had a good structure to start with. So just getting to the actual construction of the building, and I won't take too long on this, but we started in June of 2015. We made good progress into the fall, and we had the blessing of having a very moderate, mild fall. So we were able to get all the site utilities installed and get the binder paving down before Christmas, which was really an excellent situation. We didn't want to go into the winter with having a gravel site and so forth. So that worked out for us very well. Second of all, the winter of 2015-16, it was a mild winter. So once Kazuko got the building enclosed, the trades could all work within the building and make very, very good progress. So by summertime, we were in good shape, and as of October 12th, I issued a temporary occupancy for the fire department, council on aging, recreation, and the other departments to move into the building. As you can see, the fire department is operational, and the other COA, for example, has moved some of their goods into the building, and they expect to be active within the next couple of weeks. So I am delighted that we got to this point, and I have a little something with me here, and it was touched on earlier. It's a photograph of Joe Landry actually doing the jackhammering of the concrete under the floor. It's not up on the screen. I have it right here with me, and I just want to tell Joe that I'm going to, it is framed, and I'm going to position it in a prominent location within the building. So thank you all very much. It was a pleasure working with everyone, and I hope the taxpayers are very happy with this building. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Next, I want to ask our Council on Aging Director, Allison Toole, to say a few words. If you ask around in neighboring towns about what Stowe is known for, one of the things is our excellent senior services. The COA manages to touch a tremendous number of seniors in very, very effective ways, and they have managed to do it with, in terms of physical resources, basically one big room. So we are all anxious to see what Allison can do with more facilities like she's got here. So Allison, let's say a few words.
Thank you. Hi, I want to apologize in advance if I'm repeating some stuff, but so the first thing I had on here was I want to thank Stowe taxpayers for their support financing this project, number one. Thank you. And I want to thank Jim Sauda for making his life mission to find a new home for the Council on Aging. I want to especially thank Kristen Donovan for her leadership as a COA board chair through the most difficult part of the project, trying to get it passed at town meeting. She had 2 attempts where she had to present, and she successfully was able to get it passed. So I want to thank Kristen Donovan. Is she here? Anyway, really appreciate that. I want to thank all of the volunteer board members who gave their time, spending countless hours to address all of our needs in the different departments. I'm thrilled about the new space. We went from 1,200 square feet in the lower level of the town building to over 12,000 square feet. It's unbelievable. Now we can offer all of our programs under one roof. I want to especially thank the churches for all these years of putting up with us and letting us use their space when we didn't have room. I'm very excited about expanding our programs. We're going to be offering more variety, some at the same time, but in different spaces, whereas before we always had to have one thing at a time. Now we can have multiple events going on in different areas. We're ready for the baby boomers. Every day, 10,000 people turn 60 years of age. And Stow's senior population has almost doubled in the last 10 years. So it's the fastest growing segment of the population. So I'm so thankful that Stow citizens were aware of this and realizing we need to increase the space. I'm really looking forward to working with the other departments here. Fire station recreation, the town social worker, town nurse, the veterans agent, and the food pantry. We're all going to be working together to offer shared programs such as fire safety, first aid CPR classes, intergenerational programs, just to name a few. I'm proud to be part of this unique cutting-edge model. Thankful that Stow is forward-thinking and planning for the future. Thank you very much. And let's welcome.
Thank you, Allison. Next, earlier I said that we've been thinking about and working on this project for a little bit over 5 years. There's one gentleman here who's been working on this project for a lot longer than 5 years, and that's Jim Sada. If an effort, if a building, if a senior center can be said to have a spirit, Jim is the embodiment of that spirit. He is the embodiment of the motivation and spirit of our senior movement in town. Jim, you want to say a few words?
Number one, I'm going to take my hat off to all you people that voted for. I don't often take my hat off. This goes back to about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, when we realized I was chair of the Council of Aging, and it was crowded and jammed back then. So we looked around the town for town property that the town owned, that we could probably erect something on one of them. None of them were suitable. I even had my brother, who's an architect, draw up a set of plans across from Stow Gardens. There was a couple of acres for sale there, and with a steel building in the shape of a barn with a silo and all the goodies. And that didn't fly. So we struggled along with what we had, and when we heard that the center school project came in, we immediately focused on Pompo. And I was on the First Needs, I was chair of the First Needs Committee, and I got a box full of requests from every agency in town that wanted space. It's amazing that we have so many people in town doing such good work, pro bono mostly, the SAPAN and the AAA, and I can only name a few, and some of the rec department stuff is all volunteers. So anyway, when we started out with the Needs Committee, and we made a couple of presentations, and we lost the town meeting, and the other two committees took over, and I was associates on those. And the end result is where we're all sitting here today, or standing. I have watched the project from the beginning to the end, and everybody's done a wonderful job. And I was just wondering if KP is here today. KP, where are you? Come on down here. Come on down here. This young lady, when I first met her at the Needs meeting, we putting out bids for architects, and she said, I will do what you want to do at a reasonable cost and efficient. And she has been right on the money from the beginning to the end, and I love her dearly. She's a sweetheart. Thank you. Everyone should have an architect like Katie, I'll tell you. So that's about all I've got to say. I said, we're going to enjoy this building. The Flint Pantry is going to enjoy it because they were scattered all over town. Every year I'd have 20 or 30 turkeys in my cellar, in the freezer, and trying to keep track of all that stuff. Now they've got a great place to do all that. And the COA has got plenty of room right now. I think with the future projects in Stowe, that you'll see more over 55 developments applying for Stowe. Because I was reading an article in the Stowe paper the other day that the biggest segment of our population growth is going to be over 55. So with that, I'll leave you thought in mind that we're going to see more seniors than we've ever seen before. And they're all good guys like me. Anyway, thank you, taxpayers. Thank you, voters. Thank everybody who was involved in this. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm very glad you brought Katie up for some recognition. And I also want to bring up, I understand Richard Kazuko is with us from the construction company. Is that correct, Mr. Kazuko? Want to say a few words? This is the gentleman who's responsible for the physical structure that you're in right now. But for him, would be in an unheated former cafeteria of an elementary school.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate the work, appreciate the job. The credit should go to the people that work for me. Tony Pereira, who was the project manager for us here, and his acting superintendent, and Dan Valcott, the project manager, and assistant super, Randy Hopkins. So they get most of the credit. Actually, they should get all the credit. So I appreciate the work. Thank you. You guys got a beautiful town, and good luck, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen. One of your goals in building a community center is to give more space and more resources to departments that directly touch residents. And very few departments touch more residents in direct and meaningful ways than our recreation department. I'd like to call up its director, Laura Greeno.
Geez, I don't know what to say. I just want to thank everybody. I'm not going to go down the list. The town administrator, of course, and everybody that worked on the project. I don't know if you can hear me. I can hear me now. I'm very excited. If all of you don't know, I've been floating around from space to space trying to find a place to work for the last 2 years. So I've just finally gotten into my new office and never felt better. I'm very excited to offer all sorts of new programs. We've been jumping from the schools, from the churches, all over the place to provide some programs that we run indoors. We have a great facilities outdoors, and now I'm excited to be able to offer programs indoors for all ages, starting with our newborns all the way up to seniors. I'm excited to work with Allison and the fire chief and doing intergenerational programs as well as safety programs. I'm excited to run programs for adults that we haven't been able to do. I hear from a lot of residents that they have to go to Maynard, Sudbury, and other locations, and now they're going to be able to come to Stowe. Have a little patience with us. We're going to get as many things going as soon as possible, but I'm very excited. And thank you all again.
Thank you, Laura. Steve Duncan has been around town for a very long time, former selectman, and on our building committee he was representing the food pantry. I'd like to call him up and say a few words on their behalf. It certainly looks like pretty good chance the food pantry is going to be the tenant in here. They were the only bidder on the RFR, so the smart money is on the food pantry.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. This is not a magnificent building, folks. Whoa! Before I give a brief update on the food pantry, I want to take a moment to thank our partners in this effort over the many, many years, the First Parish Church of Stow. They could not have been more welcoming to us. We were there summer, fall, winter, and shared the space with gratitude. I can't say enough about having them as a partner. So I'd like to offer a big round of applause for the First Parish Church of Stow. Couldn't have done this without them. I'm the volunteer coordinator for the food pantry. That's my position. I schedule people for every pantry and make sure everybody shows up and all that good stuff. One thing I want to point out is that with the benefit of a different space assignment here in the new building, you'll have the ability to start offering food to clients after hours, late afternoon, early evening kind of thing. Right now, we're strictly an 8 to 11 a.m. Operation, and we now have the ability to, without the constraints of having to fit ourselves into the church's schedule, we can do our thing different times of the day, which I think is a great benefit. It's a pleasure to be here and see this magnificent structure come to life. And we can't wait to get our hands rolled up and get things busy. And I want to also thank the taxpayers of Stow because they have been incredibly spectacular, as usual. That's all I have to say. Just congratulations. I feel great. Let's go for it.
Before we get to our last speaker, I just want to acknowledge there are so many people who we can't thank by name or have speak just because of time constraints. Doug Hyde, for one, all the hours and hours he put over here or over in here, all the people who were on the building committees for the original projects. You know who you are, and you know that you are a part of this place. And part of the celebration today is all about you. Our last speaker, and certainly not the least important, is our town administrator, Bill Wrigley. Now, Bill is going to obviously continue to have a big role in this building on the operational side. He had a huge role in actually building it and developing it. The one most notable role was as chair of the Oversight Committee. That is where the failed projects turned into a successful project, frankly. And Bill's style of management on that committee, I can only liken it to Moe in the Three Stooges. You know, he basically, you know, when he takes the two other stooges and he kind of clunks their heads together, and that's kind of what Bill was doing. And it was extremely effective. So Bill, you want to come up and say a few words?
I like that analogy. I'm not certain that was a flattering statement. Though I do enjoy the Three Stooges, as we all do, I'm sure, still. I'm in my 25th year here, and every day I'm reminded of what makes Stow special. And that's what I've just witnessed today, which is that we are a can-do community. And I've served in other communities, and I've been in this business for 30-something years, either serving directly or as a consultant. And it is true. Communities are different, and Stow is different. The people that serve as volunteers, starting with the Board of Selectmen, this current board, previous boards, I will say this, the board stepped up when the three original projects were voted separately down, understood and took the leadership to make sure that we didn't drop the idea, because some of these notions, as the fire chief has stated and as Jim Sauter has stated, had been wishes for, and noble wishes, for the employees in this town to have new quality expanded working space. It's close to living space. People seek to have enough living and working space to excite their senses enough to come to work each day and do the job that they're paid to do and do it right and go beyond, you know, the perfunctory things that are done day to day, but to reach out, do a little extra. And I will just say that with the Board of Selectmen in previous boards, they've led the way in many cases. They did here. And it has been over 5 years. And there's been a number of committees a number of votes. And I will say this might be the most satisfying and rewarding community development project that I've been involved in my 33 years. And it's a meaningful project, more meaningful than maybe some of the others because of the time that so many people have waited to find their new office space, to find the space that their constituents can enjoy, be proud of, take care of, right? We're going to take care of this space, and I know that every employee that's in here is going to do that. And that's going to happen for a long time. But in addition to the employees and the constituents and the taxpayers and the rest, there's another star that's involved here, and that's the building we're sitting in. It had outlived its usefulness as a school, but structurally it was still sound, made of steel and stone. It's going to be here a long time. It enabled us, with a little creative thinking, to offer a combined use for a community center and fire station that was going to be cost-effective and efficient, enough so the voters had confidence that we, in fact, did our due diligence, got the most out of every dollar, and the most out of the space available. Couldn't have done it without this building. To begin with, it had those naturally high ceilings in the core of the building that is perfectly suited for an apparatus bay in the fire station. We punched through a wall, we drove in, looked up, it's there. It's almost 6,000 square feet. Think of having to build that at $500 to $600 a square foot, which is what we were being quoted in 2011 and 12 for a new fire station standalone. And then when you look around, you find out, geez, open classrooms. Well, for us, that's open space that's not subdivided. There's no walls to hide anything. We didn't have to create too many walls. You take those two alone. We didn't have to go into the ground because there's a slab. This is a star right here. I mean, and we were fortunate enough, the timing was that it had just been abandoned at a school. We're going to have to maintain it or tear it down. And for prevailing wages in municipal work, that's not cheap, folks. I can just tell you. We couldn't have come close to where we are without the building itself. The standalone file, we looked at 10 options altogether. Kathy was working. I know I annoyed her, and I apologize, Kathy, because I have a file cabinet full of emails just to Kathy alone, asking and demanding, what about this, what about that? And I went back and looked at one of the files, and we had over 10 different options that we looked at, and asking what the cost per square foot would be, whether we could do this or not. And I was asking the what-ifs that we all asked when we were going through the due diligence. And Kathy was responsive in every instance and did it with a can-do attitude. So I concur with all the rest that Kathy was important to this job. When you come down to it, this building now being ready to be occupied, and the people deserving to occupy it, is going to keep a shine on this building for as long as it's used for that purpose in a town that deserves it. So I salute everybody in Stow, and I couldn't ask for another place to be working, to tell you the truth. And so God bless all of you.
Thank you, Bill. And now I think we're going to move to what you've all been waiting for, the ceremonial ribbon cutting. And we have just a few preparations going on. And I should tell you that in keeping with our Stow frugality here, Craig Martin looked up how much ceremonial ribbon cutting scissors cost, and surprisingly, they're $50, so we're just using his garden shears.